So then, the Cypriot Parliament is now due to vote on the proposed cuts on Wednesday at about 1600 GMT. But for now, let's get some perspective, shall we, on the levy with the United Kingdom Independence Party MEP Nigel Farage. Mr Farage, evening to you. Every bailout, of course, comes with strings attached. It's never easy. But can Cyprus afford the price the EU set here?
Well, I mean, what's really happening here is we have an irreconcilable split between the north and the south of Europe. And in the north of Europe, and particularly I'm thinking about Germany, the Netherlands and Finland, there are very strong political voices saying we do not want to go on bailing out southern European countries. And bear in mind that Cyprus is now the 5th country out of 17 that's needed to be bailed out. And that is why the Germans extracted the terms that they did. But I must say, even in my direst predictions in this Parliament over the years about the way the EU bosses were behaving, never did I think that they would, in a completely unprecedented manner, resort to stealing money from people's bank accounts.
Well, it's because the EU can't afford to. It can't afford Cyprus to fail, can it? Look at the jitters that have already happened over what's gone on in the last couple of days.
Well, it can't afford Cyprus to fail, it can't afford Greece to fail, Portugal, Spain or Ireland. They know that once one country goes, the whole deck of cards will come tumbling down, and countries like Germany will realise absolutely vast losses, possibly as much as €1 trillion. So they are prepared now to do anything, literally anything, to try to keep the euro afloat, and that is why they've now resorted, as I say, to what can only be described as theft. And now they've done it in one country. They're quite capable of doing it in Italy, Spain, Portugal or anywhere else. And the message that sends to people who've got savings in banks in those countries, certainly if I was them, is get your money out while you can.
But I guess there's also a duty to look after the many expats that are there. In 2010, almost twice as much British money went to Cyprus as transfers from Russia, according to the country's official website. Surely you've got a responsibility to safeguard your constituents' interests there now?
Well, I mean, what the British government have said is that they will stand surety for the British Army soldiers and Air Force people.
But what about all the expats
who
have been living there 20, 30 years?
The government have had nothing to say on that subject whatsoever. And what the government ought to do is to help the British people living down there, mostly pensioners. But what the British government needs to do is to say to the hundreds of thousands of Brits that are living in southern Spain, for goodness sake, get your money out of that country and have a monthly transfer to pay your bills. And that is what I'd like to see the Chancellor George Osborne do in his budget statement tomorrow in the House of Commons. What
sort of message is this sending to foreign investors? I mean, essentially, they're being taxed to cure a crisis that they had no part in causing, aren't they?
Yeah. Don't invest in the Eurozone. Do not invest anywhere in the Eurozone. You've got to be mad to do so because it's now run by people who don't respect democracy, who don't respect the rule of law, who don't respect the basic principles upon which Western civilization is supposed to be based. They are propping up a Eurozone which in the end is going to collapse in disastrous failure, and they are prepared to do anything to do so. I think that this decision, this German-dominated and led decision, is the worst decision we've seen so far in this whole Eurozone crisis.
And focusing back in on Cyprus, then it's completely dependent on its banking industry to survive. If it's forced to accept these taxes, it's going to leave its reputation in tatters and its livelihood in tatters, isn't it?
Yes, and I think that if I were a member of the Parliament in Nicosia, with a vote coming up, it looks like tomorrow now, as funny, isn't it? The vote keeps being delayed and the banks keep being closed for a further day. I think I'd vote against this package. I think, frankly, better to default to the bondholders and keep my most important industry going, rather than accept these bullying terms from Brussels.
What about the future for these tax havens, Cyprus being one? A lot of various EU leaders have recently said they aren't happy with the way tax havens work. Do you think we'll see some change soon now?
Well, I mean, the EU have been unhappy about so-called tax havens for a very long time, ironically, whilst continuing to turn a blind eye to many activities that go on in Luxembourg. I mean, look, Cyprus finds itself right now in a very difficult, desperate position, but I would say better to officially go bankrupt, to default on international bond obligations, and to do their best to keep a banking industry and to keep some confidence in that country.
Nigel Farage, MEP for the United Kingdom Independence Party, thank you for your time tonight.